fight back to find one broken life. God take the earth forever blind. And now the sun will fade. And all we are is all we made. I hear them call the tide. Take me. I see the last divide. I leave this soul behind. And I am paralyzed. When the broken fall alive, let the light take me to. When the waters turn to fire, heaven please let me through. Far away, sorrow has left me. Far away, let the light take me. All of the lights. All can be lost when the broken fall alive. Let the light take me to. When the waters turn to fire, heaven please let me through. Far away, sorrow has left me. Far away, let the light take me.
Hey, what's up, guys? So, yeah, Super Bowl is tonight, so I don't really expect too many people to be in here, but I promise you guys at least keep consistent with the live stream. So we're going to do one anyways. Now, you guys, if you're new to the channel or you're new to the live stream, this is a Q&A. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you remember, your questions will be answered before anybody else. I do have a separate window open where I can actually see the member icon. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Hopefully I don't miss anybody. Now, the background video for this week is actually the slow down or the live version, if you want to call it that. I don't know if that's the term I'm looking for, of all the cutting I did in the 300. And it actually came out to about 2 hours, technically 1 hour and 51 minutes. So I needed to come up with, 9 minutes worth of nothing, which you basically would just see an icon of the channel. But yeah, so you'll end up seeing actually what I think it was 6 minutes in the last video I uploaded. 6 minutes worth of cutting is actually about 2 hours worth of cutting. So anyway, let's go to get started. Again, welcome and hit the thumbs up, as you can read my little banner in the bottom there. So yeah, if, for those of you who are wondering, I'm not really a football fan, so that's probably a pretty good indication why this live stream is still going on. Let's go to move into our first question. What is your alkalinity and calcium levels? I stay around between 8.5 and 9.5 DKH, and calcium, I'm assuming, the last time it was checked was for the Trident. So I usually sit around about 415 or something like that. I can check real quick. But I don't really test calcium, to be honest. It's kind of one of those things, just let it be itself, and I focus on alkalinity. Right now, it's at 9.1, and it's been like that. I changed out the feed pump a little while back, and it's been really consistent since I've done that. And you guys will see a video on that hopefully next week or this week. This coming week is going to be calcium reactor setup and review of the Geos reactor. And then we're going to be talking about the carbon doser and also the new feed pump. So you guys will see all that stuff this week. It's going to be a calcium reactor week with Q&A and hopefully a rambling video. So that's the plan for content. Moving down. Hey, which filter socks do you recommend, 100 or 200 micron? 100 is fine. They just clog a little bit quicker. But 100 is fine. That's what I use. Moving down. How do you determine? I'm drinking some tea, by the way. If you guys are wondering why I'm slapping my lips back here, how do you determine a starting dose for iodine, and what do you use to test the iodine in your reef tank? I really wouldn't recommend starting to dose iodine unless you've got an ICP test that gives you a little bit more accurate reading. I believe there is a hobby grade test kit for iodine. I'm almost positive there is, but I didn't really start dosing it until I saw that it was low in an ICP test, and yeah, so you just got to follow the recommendations on whatever supplement you're using to dose iodine. But I wouldn't just start dosing it unless you have some kind of deficiency, because you don't want to, of course, add too much of anything. So I would double check with an ICP test before doing that. Next question is from Steven. I'm going to be starting to add water to my new tank, and will be using a Reef Saver dry rock with live sand. Should I cure the rock in a separate container or add it to the tank and start cycling? Well, what you should be doing is put it in a separate container. Even though it is Reef Saver dry rock, it's better to go ahead and just do it in a separate container. You can keep the light away from it, giving it plenty of time for that beneficial bacteria to build up on the outer, the exterior of the rock. Make sure you get that little bacteria film to prevent any algae from taking hold. And it's just easier. If you have to do water changes, it's a lot cheaper to do a 50% water change in a brute trash can than it is in a main display tank. So just keep that in mind. If you want, you can throw it in the main display, but I'd keep lights off of it for at least a month or so, which can be difficult. So keeping it in a brute trash can also kind of gets rid of the urge to turn the lights on early. Also gets rid of the urge of trying to add fish and all sorts of stuff, which you might go into it pretty strong saying that, hey, I'm just going to cure my rock. I'm not going to do anything with the tank. But then once you see rock in it, you're going to be like, wow, it's pretty empty. I should do something. And yeah, so just keep that in mind. Do you dose strontium or anything? I used to dose it. I don't need to now. Molybdenum and strontium are usually together in the same container. Since I have an abundance of molybdenum at the moment, I don't really dose strontium because it's pretty much in a pretty good range. But if you have a good salt mix, so I use Fritz Blue Box. If you're using a good salt, you're going to get all that stuff in the salt. So it's not something that you really have to dose. And again, if you are going to start dosing something like that, you need to confirm that you're low with an ICP test, because a lot of that stuff, once you get it in the tank, it's very difficult to get out. Burping over here, so forgive me. Trying some mint. I don't know what fucking tea this is. It's mint something. It's got some caffeine in it to wake me up. I actually, an hour ago, I was laying on the floor sleeping. It's just been one of those days. I was up late last night. If you follow me on Instagram, I was up creating a frag rack, and I actually used a magnet, one of the old magnets from the Jabo pumps, to help hold it up. So I was creating that just to kind of have something to put some frags on for custom orders. So when you guys do like the custom packs from the website, I like to cut your frags and then set them on a frag rack and let them heal for a couple weeks before I ship them out. And if I make these, it's a good place to keep the frags during that time. And they're made out of ABS plastic with a 3D printer. So yeah, not sure how I got on that. I went from tea to fucking magnets. Yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah, I no football for me either. It's a waste of time. Yeah, I just don't follow sports. I mean, when I was a teenager and I was playing football and in high school and stuff, I followed it. But now I'm a grown ass man. I don't really mess with it. It's just one of those things. Moving down. John, you're a badass son of a bitch. John, I don't know you, but I like the way you think. But you got to get off the dick, dude. It's not healthy. Moving down. Can you explain how you use vinegar to make calc washes stronger? Oh, I don't. I know I've never used it before. I've never had to. When I was using calc back when I actually used it in the 125 before I went to 2-part, I just made it the strongest dose that I could. I just poured a lot of it at the bottom of my ATO container, and then I had the pump elevated, and it just basically pumped in the saturated calc. But I know that Scott from Roscoe's Reef, he's in here. Scott, tell him how to use the vinegar on him, because I've never used it. I know that people do, but I've never used it. And I don't want to give any bad advice. So, Scott, you could feel free to let him know. Moving down. I lost track. The freaking thing scrolled all the way down. I was clicking on somebody. I didn't see who I was clicked on, and then it went to somebody else. So, yeah, hopefully I'm in the order here. Nope, that's not it. Travis, would you ever have a sand bottom in the future, or are you 100% bare bottom? I was actually thinking about adding sand to the 40-gallon shallow reef, just for the sake of those of you who asked this question pretty consistently. So I might still add sand to the shallow reef because now that I have the grow out tanks, I don't need to use the bottom of that tank for growing out any kind of coral. So, but I do like sand. Don't get me wrong. I do like it, but I'm more about it's easier to clean a tank when you don't have sand. I can have a lot more flow. For me, having a lot of flow and making it easy to clean is a pretty important factors when it comes to keeping SPS reef. So we'll see. I probably will add some to the 40-gallon here in the next month or so, just kind of depending on how many more people ask me. If enough of you ask, I'll probably just do it. Okay. Man, this thing scrolled all the way back down. Okay. Down. Yeah, it keeps skipping people. I don't know why. It's going to be one of those days. Okay, any tips or parameters to watch for on elegance coral care? Okay, so when it comes to elegance corals, there are ones that you can get from, I think, Indo. Is it Indo? I don't know if that's the one. I know the ones I used to sell from Australia, the cone-based elegance corals, those ones are a lot easier to keep happy, and you don't really run into the brown jelly disease, which affects a lot of LPS corals like hammers, torches, and stuff like that, and frog spawns. And it does get over to the elegance coral. So I found that I was able to keep and easier to keep alive and ship and all that for the cone-based Australian elegance corals. If you go to the other kind that are just the standard, LPS bottom, like kind of like a torch and stuff like that, they don't seem to live as long in captivity. And it could just be tanks that I've seen them in. I've had one for a very short period of time. It lived for a few months and then it just kind of melted away. But those cone bottoms seem to be lasting a lot longer, and it's similar water parameters of any LPS. So, you don't want to, of course, you don't want to have any spikes in alkalinity and stuff like that. And so I just recommend getting a good elegance coral in the first place, and your chances of success are a lot higher. So yeah, sorry if I didn't really give you the answer you were looking for. Just kind of trying to guide you in the right direction. Moving down here, do I need to run carbon? ? If so, can I use the media bag or a media reactor? Well, you could run carbon. Yes, it's definitely something I recommend because it helps. Just if you got grease or something on your hands, you got dirty hands or whatever the hell you're doing. We're not going to go off on that right now. It's too early in the fucking live stream to be going off on shit. So, if you get something in the tank, carbon is a great way to get it out. It has to be changed on a monthly basis. And if you're looking for efficiency, then a media reactor is your best bet because it forces the water through the bottom, up through the carbon, allowing it to get the most exposure to the water, if that makes sense. A media bag works, just not as well, but it is cheaper, and it does still serve the purpose. If you're going to use a media bag, put it in a chamber that gets a lot of flow. So if you have baffles and you could fit a media bag in a baffle where water is kind of forced through, like coming up, then that's what I would recommend for that. So it's good. I like using carbon. I have about 3 cups I change out of the ROX 0.8 from BRS. I change that out, again, 3 cups once a month on the 300 and technically 500 gallons of water, and it works great. So moving down. Is a refugium a necessity in a reef tank? It's not, but if you're looking to go more of a natural approach, then yes, you're going to want to use a refugium. I feel that if you can remove nutrients from your tank naturally, it's better overall. You don't want to have to rely on chemicals. Also, if you're going to use an algae scrubber, that's also a natural way to remove it via growing macroalgae. The only problem is with an algae scrubber is if the power's off for a long time, the algae can die off pretty quickly being exposed to the air. So you won't have that issue with a refugium. And it's just, I guess, whatever you have room for. The bigger the refugium, the better off you're going to be. I grow chaeto. You can grow chlorpa if you want, or you can grow both chaeto and chlorpa. You just can't be on a coastal state with chaeto, I believe. I think that's the restrictions for that because it is an invasive species, and if it happens to get in the ocean, it can be a huge pain in the ass. But so do you need it? No. Is it going to be beneficial overall for your reef tank? Yes. Having a natural export of nutrients is always good. Plus, you can either trade it in a local fish store for some store credit, or you can sell it to your buddies or at a swap or whatever. So if you're looking to make some extra cash, chaeto was actually one of the first things that I did early on to make extra money with my hobby was selling chaeto. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. Any hints for keeping zoas in SPS tank? I struggled a little. It depends on the zoas. I find that the palezoa seems to be a little bit easier to keep happy in a reef tank. Hey, thanks for the donation there. I don't see who it is yet. I just saw a green come up. I can't see the name quite yet. But anyway, so the zoas, I find that the pallies are a little bit easier to keep happier. They seem to do better in the higher flow if that's what you're trying to keep. If you try to keep just the standard zoas, I find that if they're not in a more of an area where you're not getting a ton of flow, they will grow better. But if they're out in the open with the SPS, they get blasted a lot. Unless they completely adapt to it, they're going to struggle probably early on. But as with anything, the corals are pretty adaptive. They tend to do well if everything else in the tank is good. If they're not getting mulled over by flow or SPS aren't growing through them, they should be fine. And a lot of people are asking me, do zoas kill SPS? And so far, I haven't had an issue with that. Even the pallies, I haven't had any problems with that. It's just kind of, you don't really see, unless you put them in a specific area with zoas, you're not really going to see them. For me, I like to keep them at the bottom and kind of on rock structures that are sticking out, just to kind of fill the space, but also to actually see them, because once the colonies grow in, you're barely going to see the zoas. Moving down here. What protein skimmer would be best for a 90-gallon display with a 40-gallon sump? Budget-wise, if you're looking for something that's a little bit cheaper but still works well, anything Bubble Magus, a Curve, 90-gallon with a 40-gallon display. So a Curve 5 would do good. If you wanted to do a Curve 7, that would be fine, because you could always, if you ever upgrade your tank, you could get away with keeping the same skimmer. So I try to do that. If I ever plan on upgrading a system, I try to buy a skimmer that's already going to be ready for the new tank. And so a Bubble Magus, the Curve 7 or the Curve 5 would be perfectly fine. If you want to spend money, then go into the Nios. That's always option. I'm telling you guys, I'm a big fan of Nios, but they're a little expensive for the average reefer. Moving down here. Yep, I already clicked on it. It brought me all the way back up. It's kind of strange. Okay, next question. Do you recommend newer hobbyists to buy pre-quarantine fish, or just quarantine the fish yourself, or would you say has a better success rate? Well, unless I don't recommend buying quarantine fish unless you go to the facility and you can see everything that they're doing in their quarantine process. A lot of people who sell fish and are all about getting the fish in and then getting them out as quickly as possible. It's very common. Now, there are smaller fish stores that will take the time to quarantine the fish for you if you request it. And you pay obviously a little bit extra money. But since you're already paying a lot for a fish, I'd recommend that you just quarantine yourself, because it's a good skill to learn. And you just feel closer to the hobby if you go through that process and take care of it and do it and get the fish in your tank. And plus, that it was truly quarantined the way that it should be and that there's no issues, because the fish stores are busy. They got stuff going on. I doubt that they're staring at a fish as often as you would if it was at your house. And if they miss something and it happens to have ick still for whatever reason, that gets in your tank, and then you got to start over. And it might not be your first fish that gets it. It might be your 10th fish. And then you have, 9 other fish you got to get out of the tank to go fallow. So I always recommend you quarantine yourself. That's what I would do. Trust no one. Yeah. Okay. Carlos, I ordered "If You Think I'm Calling You Stupid" shirt. That's funny. I saw that come in today. Well, that was you. That's awesome. Appreciate the support on that. Can't wait to wear it to work. People are like, who the fuck is Fisher Hex? Yeah, that's funny. I appreciate that. I was wondering who that came in, because it gives me a little notification when stuff is purchased. I'm like, somebody bought that. Had to be Carlos. All right, moving down. Brad, having trouble getting my nitrates down. They're off the charts. I've been doing water changes and dosing Microbacter 7 and feeding once a day instead of twice. No pox cause more algae issues. More issues. Anything else I can do? What are your nutrient exports? I don't know. Hopefully I'll look out for your name through the comment section. You got a good skimmer? Is your skimmer wet? Are you doing wet skimming? That's definitely something that will help remove more nutrients. Just make sure you have the ability to not. You have the ability to kind of collect everything so it doesn't dump back into the tank. So anybody wet skims, I recommend you have it kind of down into a collection container. But so are you wet skimming? Do you have a refugium? What are your export methods? I mean, it's hard to tell. If you're already cutting down your feeding, by, you know, if you're rinsing the food out, if you're making sure it doesn't have any nasty water in it and stuff like that, and you're not feeding that much, and you're skimming well, you have a macroalgae that's growing really, really well, and you're still having tons of nitrates, there's another source. It could be your rock, it could be dirty rock that you've had. I just need more information, Brad, than just kind of this, because there's other factors. If you say you had rock that you picked up at, you know, maybe off Craigslist or something, is dirty rock, and you're just leaching nitrates forever, because I've done that before. So I just need a little bit more information, and then I can better help you out with that that question. Moving down. Live stream, are you kidding me? Super Bowl, man. Hey, dude, then go watch the Super Bowl. Have fun. Enjoy it. Eat some chips for me. And yeah, enjoy it. Moving down. Do you see a problem when adding coral before fish in a new tank? Should you feed the fishless tank? Okay. I would not add coral to a tank that doesn't already have fish, because it's a balancing act. When you have fish in there, they're eating, they're going to the bathroom, they're providing nutrients for the fish. Also, when you feed the fish, you're feeding the coral at the same time. So I feel like you're going to have to kind of sustain the tank with nitrates and phosphate dosing if you're going to keep it a happy tank before adding fish. Plus, once you add the fish, there's a chance that you could get ammonia spike with the fish. Even being just one fish, you could still get one, because the tank has to adjust to the bioload, the new bioload, and that spike could cause stress to the coral depending on what you have. So no, I would not add coral before adding fish. I just think it's not a good practice, and it's just too much work. So get your fish in there, get it stable, and then add your coral. Okay, moving down. Welcome, guys. If you're new to the channel, or your first time in the live stream, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, because that instant gratification is all that I need right now. Moving down. Okay, yeah. So Scott was answering the question with the vinegar. So hopefully you guys are going back and forth. If you are, I'm missing it. I'm not paying attention to the whole conversation. So, all right. Missy here. Have you ever dealt with tiny white worms on corals? What do you do about equipment and everything? I dipped 4 times and have tried to manually remove them off, but no success. I know that you sent me an email about this, and I haven't looked at it yet, because usually on the weekends I kind of don't really get too far into emails until Monday. So little white worms on corals. No, I haven't dealt with it personally. I'm assuming you sent a picture of the worms. I'll have to look. Let me see if I can get to my email. Let me see if I can do this real quick. You guys can bitch amongst yourselves. See if I can find it real quick. It's a video. See if I can find it. White worms. Oh, it's hard to tell. I'm trying to see. It's crooked. I'm trying to see. I don't see white worms. Oh man, I'm gonna fuck this up trying to get my mouse. Okay. No, I don't see it in there. I don't really have an answer for you right now. Shit, I fucking killed my video. I gotta fix that real quick, guys. Let me fix that. I didn't know I went over to the wrong screen. But yeah, little white worms. I'm trying to think. They could be what the hell are they? I don't think they're worms. They could be even be the little, what the fuck are they? They're like crustaceans or whatever the fuck they are. They're like tube worms and stuff like that, or feather dusters. That's what it could be. I've never heard of actual tiny white worms anywhere in coral before. That's not a pest that I'm familiar with. But then again, you know, there's fucking the oceans, how big it is. There's tons of stuff. Let me see if I can get this video back up, because I messed it up. Man, it's probably going to start over. Shit. Yeah, it is. Okay, let me see if I can fast forward that to where it was. But yeah, I don't really have an answer. I'm going to have to see them a little bit closer to get an idea. I'm thinking it's just the feather dusters. Yeah, this sound of me talking is just me fucking multitasking, because I am apparently not good at it when I'm trying to do a live stream. Okay. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll have to keep an eye on the time. But yeah, I'm going to need a little bit more information. Just send me a closer up picture of them, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So, all right, moving on to the next question. Okay. Scott, you guys are taking care of that. Scott's answering your question. All right. Do you dose your phytoplankton at night? What are you currently dosing at the moment? Do you recommend how many milliliters per gallon? Okay, so I dose the phytoplankton right now. I dose it 3 times a week, and it's at night when the lights go off, usually within the first hour or two. And yeah, I dose for 500 gallons. I'm dosing 30 milliliters, and I dose based on my nutrients. If my nutrients are doing pretty good, say they're consistent and in a good range, I won't dose too much because it has a tendency to increase your nutrients. And but if I'm kind of low, like I am now, I will increase the dose. So I actually did 30 milliliters yesterday, and I did 30 today. So my nutrients are a little bit low because I was doing some water changes to kind of clean up some of the tanks and get the detritus out. And I'm figuring out now that 50-gallon water change once a month with how many tanks I have could be a little difficult when it comes to removing nutrients or detritus off the bottom of the tank. So I might have to increase my water change amount just so I have enough water to take care of all the tanks. So yeah, but anyways, I just dose based on my nutrients. And if the tank reacts, your polyps are good and they seem happy, then just keep dosing it. But again, you can overdose it. So I would try to stick to like every other day or every 2 days and then see how your tank reacts to it and then go from there. It's definitely there's not a science behind it. It's kind of just best judgment and how your tank reacts because every system is going to be different. So next question. Hey Travis, I asked about high nitrates last week. I'm at 25 ppm now. And my acros are looking great. Should I just leave it at the level it is? Hey, if your corals are happy at 25 ppm, then even though that is still a little high, I would still strive to bring them down, but I wouldn't take any drastic steps. I would continue what you're doing. Just do it over time to slowly bring it down. But if your corals are happy, then leave it the way it is. 25 ppm is still pretty high. But again, just keep doing what you're doing and bring them down slowly. You want to get in between that 3 to 5 ppm because once you get down to those lower levels, the tank just gets happier. Once you're up in those higher levels, it just seems like you have your corals a little darker than they should be, and you might not notice it until you get into an appropriate range and you start going, "Wow, the tank does look a lot better than I originally thought." So, yeah. Just go slow, bring it down, continue to bring it down, but don't do anything drastic like major water changes or adding more biopellets or anything like that. All right, moving down. Do you have any high-end zoas? No, I don't. I might have some in the 300 somewhere, but I'm not a zoa guy. I just don't. I don't like zoas. I don't know. We all have our preference. I just don't care too much for zoas and never really got into it too much. Hey, thanks. I finally showed your name. Hey, thanks for the donation there. Is green spots on glass coralline algae? There is green coralline algae, but probably not. Can you send me a picture? I'm going to see if I can put up the email for those of you who don't know it. If you could send me a picture of what you're talking about, it'd be a lot easier to give you an answer. And I usually I'll have those replies out by tomorrow afternoon. Like I said, usually during the weekend, I don't do too many emails. It's kind of my day off. Saturday is kind of my day away from YouTube. Considering the fact I create content Monday through Friday, and then Sunday I have a live stream. Saturday is just kind of my chill day. So yeah. So there's the email. Where do you get those gray frag plugs from? Fishofhex.com. That's where you can get them. Yep, they're called acro plugs. Moving down here. Nick, any advice on building a canopy or a light stand for a reef? Well, it depends kind of what your style is and what lighting you have. I would say build it around your current lighting. And if you're looking to upgrade lighting in the future, just take that into consideration when building your canopy. If you go down to the 300-gallon playlist, you'll be able to see how I built the canopy for the 300-gallon reef. And you can see kind of the whole process, how I did it. I built it around those Aquatic Life 48-inch light fixtures because that's what I was going to keep for the life of this reef tank. So just, don't make it too small, but don't make it too tall because say you're getting... I've seen a lot of people make canopies really tall and then their lights just don't have enough power to get all the way down to the tank. So just keep that in mind. Usually 7 to 12 inches off the water is pretty common for most LEDs. just take that stuff into consideration. Let me see here. Moving down. Okay, I am upgrading to a larger tank, twice the volume. I currently run a Niles 160 skimmer. What are your thoughts on running 2 identical skimmers instead of one large one? Pros and cons. Okay, well, it's probably gonna be more an electric bill running 2 identicals, because usually there's it depends on the skimmer. Like for me, I run the skimmer I have has the Niles Quantum 300 has 2 pumps in it, and if they made a bigger one, I would obviously get a bigger skimmer for the new tank. I'm going to be forced to buy 2 of those skimmers, so I'll have 4 skimmer pumps running at the same time, which is in turn probably going to cost more money long term to run 2 skimmers. But I don't see any issues with that. If you have the room for 2 skimmers, then use it. You just got to remember, if you have collection bins, you're going to have 2 of them. If you have skimmer swabbies, you're going to have 2 of them. If you got to do maintenance on skimmers, you're going to have to do maintenance on 2 of them. So if you're okay with all that, I don't see any issues with running 2 skimmers. And again, I will be running 2 Quantum 300s on the new build, which should be interesting. Moving down. Here's a response. Matt said they're spaghetti worms, but usually they're not white. When I've seen spaghetti worms, they're like a yellowish, orangish color, which is, I have them. I've seen them. They're not a huge deal. The wrasse likes to eat them, so they're not a problem. I've never seen them be an issue, but that might be different. You might have something different. But the ones that I've seen are just these little, they don't even look like worms, just extended out long strings of like orangey, wormish looking things, and they don't do anything but sit there. So yeah, again, I'm gonna have to see a picture of them close up to really tell you. Watching the game and listening in. Don't talk loud, damn it. I'll turn the fucking volume down, Chad. The hell you want me to do? You want me to whisper so you can watch the game? Whatever. Moving down. Glenn, what's the pressure of water going to your RODI? Have you looked much into how much impacts the membrane? Okay, so I get about 60 psi, and that's about what's recommended for the 2 that I have. It's about 60. I do have really good pressure. It's actually attached to the line coming into the house, so it's directly. It's not going anywhere else in the house, not going through any more tubing. It's coming out of the ground, up into the house, and goes right into my RODI. So about 60-ish, 65, fluctuates between there. And yeah, you need to have an efficient amount of flow, or the membrane is just not going to work properly. It gets clogged. It just doesn't work. So yeah, if you're rocking like 30 or 40 psi, you need to get a booster pump. And if you're rocking over 100 psi, you better dial that shit down, because you can crack the RODI system with too much pressure. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. So, happens. All right, moving down here. I'm doing the 3-part, but only my ALK drops every day, 9 to 8.2. So I dose every day ALK, but nothing else. Is that good to do? The tank looks great also. Okay. I don't know what 3-part. Are you talking about just standard BRS, bulk resupply, 2-part dosing with the magnesium as a 3rd part? Is that what you're talking about? Now, if you're getting a fluctuation from 9 to or 8.2 to 9 every single day, or vice versa, that's a lot. You shouldn't be. That's a hell of a dip. If I go from like 9.1 to 8.9, I feel stressed about that. So it could just be my tank. I don't know what you got for a tank or what you got in there, but that seems like a pretty big fluctuation. And you should be dosing equal parts calcium and alkalinity, because they balance each other out within the water column. And sure, of course, magnesium has to be an appropriate range, so you can make sure everything is balanced and in good proportion. So here's a clip on the video where I break that giant ass millie. There we go. There it goes. I did have water coral sticking out of the water. Not anymore. But yeah, you should be dosing equal parts calcium and alkalinity every day, and then just keeping up on your magnesium as needed. I'm moving down. In your opinion, is the bandsaw you use for fragging worth it? For me, yes. If you're fragging a lot, then yes, it's definitely worth it. It just makes life a little bit easier. Yeah, but the price is significant. So unless you're making a lot of money fragging, I wouldn't buy it. I'd stick to another method, like a Dremel tool. It's cheaper. Or you can use bone cutters, but then you're going to have to make it. If you're trying to cut stuff without shattering it, you might want to get a Dremel. So I used Dremel for a long time before I got the bandsaw. You guys probably remember that. Move it down here. Hey, man, OEF 2010, 2011, Bagram. Hey, I've been to Bagram. It was nice there. They had nice food. I remember that. Anyway, do you do you do much LPS? I just picked up a Goniopora and Galaxia. Any tips? 65-gallon tank. I don't do a lot of LPS. I used to do a lot of importing of LPS on the other system, and I since stopped. And I do a lot of everything that I sell now is grown in house. I'm fucking up this mic with my loud ass chair. I gotta get a new chair. I say that every live stream, but yeah, I used to do a lot of LPS back when I was importing coral. Now I don't really piss with it. I do have some that's growing out, but now it's just SPS and, you know, of course, getting in more acros, quarantining them, and then continuing to build up on my stock. But any tips for the Goniopora and the Galaxia? Good flow, and then put the Galaxia in an area where you can control its growth. So for me, I always grow Galaxia on Frag rocks, or I keep it on its own rock somewhere in the tank where I can move it around, because the streamers can get pretty long, up to like 6 or 7 inches, and they can sting everything around it. Plus, once it starts encrusting on the rock, you're not getting it off unless you really get in there and start chomping on it with like bone cutters or something. So I would keep it in its own little area where you can control the growth, unless you don't mind it completely taking over, because it does grow pretty quickly. The Goniopora, you can just put anywhere with decent flow. If the polyps don't come out in a few days, that means it's probably getting too much flow or too little flow. You just gotta adjust it. It is photosynthetic, so it shouldn't be a problem. Moving down. All right, so you did send the pictures to email. I'll have to check that here a little bit later, or I'll have to do it in the morning. So I will check that out. Okay, someone's answering a question for me. Appreciate it. Moving down. Do you know if the Apex EL is upgradable to add salinity or ORP probes at a later date? I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I've heard about it. A couple people were talking about it. I think Mike was talking about it on his stream or some shit last night or Friday. I don't know. I haven't looked into the Apex EL yet. I know nothing about it, so I can't give you any information. Sorry. Next question. Are there any pros and cons in using a protein skimmer rated larger than your tank? The pros are that you are able to upgrade later on if you need to, and you're able to efficiently skim your system, because a lot of people overrate skimmers. They might, it might actually be only, say, rated for 100 gallons, and they will say it's like, 150, 200 gallons, just to kind of push it to sell it. Yeah. It's just good to get a bigger skimmer, not only to take care of your current system, but if you ever upgrade or you have too many fish, you're able to have the extra skimming power to take care of that and keep your nutrients in check. But yeah, I always go double the water volume on skimmers. So when I got the Nios Quantum 300, which I think is good for a 1,000-gallon tank stocked, I'm pretty sure. And I had it on a 300-gallon, and now, as you guys can see, I've added tanks over the last 2 years. So now I have 500 gallons of water volume, which still keeps me double the water volume for that skimmer. So, yep. I gotta scroll up, guys. Give me a second. Okay. Is there any easy way to plumb a frag tank into a tank that has a in-tank sump like a Nuval 60-gallon tank? Okay, so you want to frag. Is there a way to put a frag tank into a tank that already has an in-sump? Okay, if you can, it's difficult actually. If you could, I know on some of these all-in-ones you can drill it. You just gotta make sure it's not tempered glass. If you can drill it, then you can plumb pretty much anything into it. Yeah, so that's difficult. If you can drill the back of the tank, then yeah, you can add bulkheads and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really know any other way. I tend to not drill these all-in-ones because most of the time they make them tempered. I'm just trying to think if there's another. No, I don't think there's. I'm looking at the BioCube next to me, thinking there might be another way. There isn't. So moving down. Okay, Hex, update on the Dremel attachment. How did it work out? Was that 3D printed? All right, the Dremel attachment worked out great. I totally removed that Montipora. It's gone. It is gone. Did it, and it was 3D printed. Yep, and I'm probably not going to tell you guys about it anytime soon. Probably not going to happen. I got to work on the patent for it, and I got to do some changes. It's just not safe right now, and I know some of you guys are going to freaking come in here, and you're going to try to make it yourself, and then you're going to hurt yourself, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I will show you guys the whole kind of cutting process of it and give you a general idea of what it is. You guys have seen it on Instagram and stuff like that. That's probably why you're asking. But yeah, it's just kind of something I got to keep to myself right now for the most part. But it works out pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Brian, okay. Moving down. All right, what's up, Travis? Should I dose beneficial bacteria in my rock curing bin or wait till the rock is in the tank? Well, if you're just starting a curing process, you can add some beneficial bacteria. It does kind of speed up the process, but there's this big thing going on now. Everybody wants to add bacteria to their main display tank once it's kind of up and running, and I don't see why you want to do that. I don't understand. I don't know where that's coming from. Might be from the whole vibrant scene that's going on. Who knows? But yeah, you can add it when you're first starting to cure the rock, but I'd just leave it at that because once the beneficial bacteria takes over, there's no reason to continually add it to the system. So, yep, moving down here. Trying to, anyways. Hey, Tiffany, I think you became a supporting member just now. Let me check. I'm pretty sure you did. It's not showing me anymore. The icon looks familiar. So if you did, then thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's not showing me. Oh, that's strange. I wonder how long it takes for it actually stops showing certain things. It's kind of strange. But anyways, recently watched a video you had on done on coral placement. Can you elaborate, please, with regards to SPS coral placement growth patterns, rock designs? Okay, so when it comes to SPS, you really have to plan for the future. You need to know exactly what you're putting in the tank, and that's something that I knew to a certain extent for the 300, but then figured out later on that it didn't work out. So first of all, you need to know what the coral is going to look like when it gets bigger, when it's full grown. How is it going to grow? How much space does it typically take up? And light requirements. So you take all those things into consideration and then put your corals in. So for me, I would have changed up quite a bit since I've lost a lot of colonies in this tank because of shading. Like that WWC, I didn't know it was going to grow that big. I didn't know it was going to completely shade out everything, become a size of a freaking basketball and take out everything underneath it. So if I knew that, I would have put that coral lower where it would have just shaded out the bottom of the tank and would have had more room for corals up top. Also, shelving acros, I would have put those lower, knowing that how much they actually go out and take over space-wise and shade out everything underneath it. So the key is build your rock structure in a way that you can eliminate shading. I mean, you can prevent it. Sorry, you can't really eliminate it. It's not going to happen no matter how excuse me, I'm over here burping. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to completely eliminate shading. It's just not possible. But you do want to build your structure in a way that you can prevent it. And then also put corals in a place where they're going to, you know how they're going to grow, you know where you can control them, and you can know how dangerous they are to other corals like that. Hydrophora, it's in a spot where I can control it. If it was anywhere else in the tank, it probably would be an issue just on how much it does grow and how dangerous that coral can be for other SPS. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I tried to do the best I could on that one. Moving down. Next question. If you could give one tip of advice to someone who's about caring for an SPS tank, what would it be? Keep your alkalinity stable. That's the key to success with SPS. Stable alkalinity. Do whatever you can to keep it stable, either with a calcium reactor or slowly dosing your 2-part over 24-hour period of time. Just go slow and keep your alkalinity as stable as you can. If you can do that, you're going to go a long way. Okay, moving down. Okay, moving down. I'm not seeing it. It's scrolling all the way up. There we go. What I really like about this program, yes, I can't show you guys all the texts that are coming in on it, but what it does is when I click on someone's name and it highlights it on the screen, it saves it. So when it scrolls all the way down like this, I'm able to go up and find where I was, which is very important for the sake of staying consistent on these questions. Moving down. All right, next question. Did you see the new BRS edition Apex monitor, Apex EL, with some float switches, pH, temp probe, no energy bar for $249? Thoughts? Okay, well, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know anything about it. But if you're gonna buy it, so it has some float switches, pH and temperature probes. Okay, so temperature probe is good, but no energy bar. Okay, so if you're looking for something basic just to keep an eye on your temperature, which is fine, but you're gonna want an energy bar to turn on and off the power to a heater. So like a standard Apex, the temperature probe tells you, hey, the temperature is at 79 degrees. We want it to go to 79 and a half. So kick on the EB8 bar and it will turn on the heater until it gets to 79 and a half, and then it will turn off. So that's how it controls. So the fact that it doesn't come with an energy bar is kind of, what's the point? if you're going to use it, what are you using for? Just to monitor temperature and pH and some float switches, I guess. But I mean, you could do that with a thermometer. That's a lot cheaper than $249. And pH isn't something that you should be spending $249 on to even monitor. And float switches, you can do standalone units to do that. And you're probably using float switches for an ATO or some shit, right? So you could do that with a standalone unit that also comes with a pump and everything to control it. So yeah, based on what I know from this question, I would think that it's probably not worth buying, because you're going to have to upgrade it. And the thing is I know that they had an Apex Junior that only allowed you to have certain amount of modules on it. Now, again, I don't know anything about this. I don't know if you can have a certain amount of modules, but modules add up quickly. They really, really do. So if this thing has a limited on modules and it, it doesn't come in the EVA and stuff like that, I don't know. I wouldn't buy it. It definitely wouldn't. It would not fit my needs as is. That's for sure. All right, moving down. Shit, not all the way down. All right, what do we got? So we're at what? I'm on question 734. It is, so we're 10 minutes behind. That's not too bad. Thanks to everybody coming into the stream. We got 130 people watching, which is completely surprising based on the game being on. That's awesome. So if you're in, go ahead and let me switch my banner here. Hit the thumbs up, because instant gratification is all I need in life. All right, moving down. Can I get anyone's opinion on keeping a Flame Angel in a 25-gallon tank? Flame Angel, they don't really get that big. I mean, 25-gallon tank seems kind of small for any kind of angel fish in general. I wouldn't. I would get a bigger tank. I'd keep, like, if you're gonna have a 25-gallon tank, you might want to have a couple clownfish, maybe a couple chromis, a blenny, something like that. Something that doesn't get very big. And then clownfish can get really big. They just take a long ass time to do it. So I wouldn't add a Flame Angel to a 25-gallon and get a bigger tank. Okay. Hey, Travis, was gonna place an order for your nitrates and phosphate supplement. Was wondering what the shelf life is on it. Well, I've had a bottle here that I've used actually before I added automatic dosing, and it's been sitting for a couple months now, and there's no issues with it. I have been told from people that if you don't shake it up and it just sits for a long time, it can get it can get a little cloudy, which is just the salt in it. Or you can see little pieces of, it's like I guess it is just the salt kind of floating around. Yeah, I don't see any issues with it lasting several months. But I only sell 350 milliliter bottles, which isn't a ton of it. Most people, average person, for example, I'm dosing 14 milliliters a day of NO3. So you can see how 350 milliliters can last quite a while if you were to buy something and you were dosing a tank like mine. So yeah, shelf life, it's been several months or a few months, and it still looks fine. No issues with it. And I've used it before. So I don't really know the shelf life. Honestly, I don't know the exact month. I can't give you, hey, it's going to last 6 months and then you can't use it. But it's just salt. So it's a salt-based product in water, RODI water. There wouldn't be any reason why it wouldn't last a long time. There isn't any special chemical in there that's going to go bad. So I'm kind of just getting to that. Moving down here. All right, so there's somebody was answering a question. You have to add the PM1 and PM2 modules. Okay, so you guys are obviously going back and forth on that new Apex. I am going to add that to my list. As you guys know, I do add things, what I'm going to do research on, like we did Vibrant, all sorts of stuff, different types of dino. I will say that I am working on something now that's going to make this dino issue a lot easier for you guys. It's probably not going to be out until later next month because I got to work on it, but it's going to basically be able to help you identify what type of dino you have, and then I'm going to be able to build you a plan specifically to fight that type of dino. So right now, there's like technically 3 within our hobby. 2 of them will grow off of low nutrient environment. Then there's one which is a larger cell dino that usually thrives in higher nutrient environments. So that's where you guys are getting those dinos when you have higher nutrients. And there's a certain way to combat those higher nutrient dinos, like with extra macroalgae, and kind of outcompete it overall. And excuse me. And I'm just kind of going through the process of laying that out, making it easier for you guys. So yeah, you guys should expect that next month or so when I'm done working on the program. But yeah, the only way you can really tell what dino you have is to take samples from the bottom of the tank and the top of the tank and look underneath the microscope. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going to happen. So moving down. Travis, or hey Travis, do you recommend to use Red Sea algae management if I have a brown hair algae? My nitrates and phosphates are in range. Nitrates are less than 10 with growing macroalgae, but algae is still there. Do you have like so you say you have brown hair algae in your, okay, so the thing is with nutrients is if you have algae in your tank, you have elevated nutrients higher than what you're getting on your test kit, which means that you might be testing your nutrients in a good range. So say you are testing, hey, I got 10, 10 less than 10 nitrates, but I can guarantee if you have algae growing like hair algae in your tank, your nitrates are higher than that, but the algae is actually using it up within the water column and you're getting a false reading on your test kit. So I would say look into, I'm not a chemical guy. I don't recommend using an algae management program. That's not something that I would personally do. Hit my mic here. I would look for a natural method, either increase your skimming, cut down on feeding, see what your livestock stock is. If you have too many fish, get rid of some of them. Again, make sure you're skimming properly, make sure you have macroalgae is growing well. But I would go that route first. Try some wet skimming, manual removal. That's always good. And you could even get some grazers, get some blue-legged hermit crabs and stuff like that. They like to graze on that stuff. If it's nothing crazy and you only have a little bit here and there, I wouldn't be concerned. But if your whole tank has it all over the place, then yeah, you have elevated nutrients somewhere and you need to find the source. The thing for long-term success in this hobby is to find the source of the problem, not to add Band-Aids. And I feel that a lot of people and a lot of companies just support Band-Aid solutions because everybody, I'm going to go off on this. I think I'm trying not to. Okay. A lot of people are all about instant gratification. They want something and they want it now and they want it to be good and they want it to be successful right now. So they try to use these quick fixes. And and companies know this. People are here to make money. There are people in the hobby that are just all about making money. They don't really care how they do it. They just want to make money. And, good for you. But, you're not helping people by selling products that are just a quick fix. Now, I haven't looked at that Red Sea algae management program. I don't know anything about it. But I will say that if it doesn't involve you finding the source of your problem, then I wouldn't do it. You need to find out where the problem is, fix it, and then you will be successful. I'm not going to go off on that. I think we'll just stop there. We'll move on because I can see me going on a little while with that. Moving down. I know you hate hanging back overflows, but if you had to recommend one, what would it be? Drilling your tank. I don't recommend those to anybody. I'm sorry, man. I can't give you an answer to that. For one, I don't know, and I don't have a specific brand in mind what I would recommend because I think they're a bad idea. And anything, if you ever fighting gravity is a losing battle. You will lose it at some point. It's going to happen. Something will fail. Either your aqua lifter that wasn't keeping the air out of the overflow will fail. Something will fail at one point. If you have to pull water out of the tank over a rim, that is not good. I would drill it. Yeah. I don't really have an answer for you. Sorry, man. How did the vet bill go? It went good. It was a long-ass drive to Ohio. It was cold. It cost me a ton of gas money, given the freaking 9 miles to a gallon, less than that for like 600 miles. It's pretty ridiculous. But, it's not too bad you guys did donations and you guys are buying T-shirts and all that stuff and buying coral, so that paid for it. So no problem with that. But the build went well. I'm waiting for Mike to finish it. He's been sick for the last few weeks. I don't know what the hell he's got, but he's been sick. He's finishing up the build here. I couldn't stay there all day and complete the build. I just couldn't. We left super early in the morning, got stuck in a storm and ended up being late. We couldn't stay very long because we had to get back. Kids had to go to school in the morning. So it was just one of those things. We got there, got the tank off, got it set up, did the plumbing, did as much as we possibly could, and then had to let him finish it. And now he's finishing it up, and I'll have a video out as soon as I get all the pictures and video from his side of the build. I have my portion of what I've done already. I'm just waiting for him. Now, a lot of people were asking, what am I doing for the next build? I think I'm just going to, for the sake of making things easier and saving money. So if I can drop ship a tank to somebody, that will save me the amount of money that it costs to rent a trailer and to pay for gas to bring that tank to somebody. So I'm probably next one's probably going to be in Pennsylvania, and I'm probably going to drop ship Red Sea reefer of some sort and then meet them there and put it together. It's kind of going to be something like that. Or even if I find somebody who would enjoy a smaller tank, maybe they're a veteran that's just getting into reefing and they wouldn't mind having a BioCube or something. It's going to depend. So once we start saving up more money here, when I get this video out, probably within the next couple months, I'm going to post a video saying, hey, if anybody in Pennsylvania is interested in the veterans build, let me know what you have going on, and then I will decide what tank we're going to do from there. Of course, I am working with custom aquariums, and you guys, when you buy tanks from them, if you use my name, you not only you get some money off your tank, but they also take the commission on that build and they on that sale, and they put it towards a fund to build more tanks for the veterans program. So the money doesn't come to me; it goes directly into that fund, and that's the way we wanted to set it up. So we can continue to get tanks and systems from them. And yeah, so just waiting for Mike to do his thing, and then I'll have the video out, and then within 2 months we'll have another tank ready to go, or at least we'll have enough money saved up. Depending on, I mean, I have enough money right now to send somebody a Red Sea reefer, but I would like to get this other tank done, and I don't want tanks to take as long as this one did. This was our first one. We had a ton of money in it. Like, it had an Apex, had Kessel lighting. I mean, you name it, this thing had it. Okay, so it was a lot of money in this first build. I mean, go big or go home, I suppose. And I don't want every tank to cost $7,000. I don't want every tank to be that expensive. I would like to get as many tanks out to help people, because it doesn't have to be a super expensive tank to help somebody. Help a veteran out. It could be, like I said, a BioCube or a Red Sea Reefer. It could be something basic, or even a DIY tank. If somebody wants me to build them a 75-gallon drilled or whatever, I mean, we could always go whatever route. And I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to take a year for these builds. I thought that was it just sucked. I didn't like that it took so long, because it just had to get stuff. We had to get money. We had to get the equipment, and then of course setting up a time to meet up with somebody is just always difficult. So I didn't mean to go off on that. I just wanted to clarify it. I really do enjoy this. As with everything, we always learn from what we do. And I learned that I'm going to do things a lot differently with the veterans program, because I want to get more tanks out to help people. So fucking 10 minutes later, after talking about that, moving down. Okay, everyone get an Apex, both. Okay, everyone get an Apex. Both my heaters randomly took a shit yesterday. Would not have known without having an Apex alert me low temp. Yeah, yeah. It's always good to have an Apex for the low temp, the alarm. I mean, even vice versa, having a high temp. Apex does a lot of things, and I think the base model is fine. You don't have to get the one with all the ORP probes. You can just get a simple temp probe and a pH probe with an EB8 bar, and you can, as long as it doesn't have a module restriction like the Junior used to, then you're fine. You can upgrade to whatever you want. I don't know how many models I have, modules I have in here, a shit ton. But just being able to upgrade as you upgrade is always good, and the Apex is pretty good for that. Okay, so this guy said for the overflow, says the Life Reef overflow for the last 5 years never had an issue. Okay, so this guy knows about hanging on back overflows and never had an issue, so maybe consider checking out that brand. I think it was Steven. Was it Steven? Yeah, Steven was asking about that. So there you go, man. You guys, that was in 737, so yeah, you probably already got the answer. Moving down. Not that far. Shit. Okay. Okay. Hey, hi, Travis. I have acropora eating flatworms. Oh, sucks balls, man. Wanted to ask, will they starve out when no acros are available to eat, or will they find a different source of food? Would like to try this. Okay, so I know that they feed on the flesh of acropora. So I'm assuming you probably either lost all your acros because of them, or you took out the acropora and there's nothing left in the tank. Will they starve? I don't know. I'm assuming if they only feed on flesh of acros, that they will starve. But life finds a way. As the guy in Jurassic Park says, life will find a way. Acropora eating flatworms are what I call the tank busters of the hobby. If I ever got acropora eating flatworms in my main display, the whole system would be tore down. Done. Every rock, everything would be removed. Every piece of rock, everything would be removed from the tank. Will they survive? I don't know. I know that's probably, I'm going to look that shit up. Thanks for the idea. Because I don't know. I'm assuming if they eat only the flesh, that they will eventually starve if it's not in there. Kind of like the Montipora eating nudibranchs. If there's not Monties for them to feast on, they will die. Because I've eradicated them from the imported system before because of that. I'm going 6 months without any Montipora in there, and I never got them again when I added Monties. So they technically starved. Will that happen with flatworms? I don't know, man. But yeah, I wish I could give you the answer. The things that I don't know, that list is a lot bigger than the things that I do know. So you guys will figure that shit out. Okay, moving down. Have you ever experimented with Gyre style pumps? I have not. I've heard not good things about them. It could be the older version. I mean, it was a couple of years ago. I had a buddy that had a few of them, and he kept saying they just break all the time. The impellers break. They get all nasty and shit. So I've never used them. I stayed away from him because he just had such a bad time with them. It just cost him a ton of money to keep them going. So I do not have any experience with them, but I do know people that use the Jabo version that were fine. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the same concept, but Jabo usually does knockoffs about everything, essentially. Next question. I'm dealing with diatoms on my frag tank. That frag tank, that's but for a few months. I'm dealing with diatoms on my frag tank. That's probably been up for a few months. How would you recommend dealing with it? Nitrates 3, NO3, or nitrates at 3 ppm and NO3 at 0.3. So I'm assuming you meant NO4 on that. Okay, so if you have diatoms, that shit will go away, man. The tank isn't mature enough, and it's a frag tank. So is this frag tank attached to your main display? Question mark. Or is it a standalone frag tank? If you're getting diatoms and it's a standalone frag tank, you probably don't have enough beneficial bacteria media in there. Like you don't have enough rock in your sump attached to it, or maybe in the chamber or whatever. So you just, it depends. I don't know too much. I don't know enough about this to give you an appropriate answer, but your nutrients seem to be fine. 3 ppm is on the lower side, and then 0.03 is pretty low on phosphates. I would get your nutrients back up up a little bit, get to around 4 or 5 ppm of nitrates, and get up to that 0.07 minimum of phosphates. And it might change just based on having your nutrients increased and the biodiversity increasing because of the nutrients. Moving down here. Hey, Travis, any sign of the purple bastard Monty returning it? No, that thing is gone. Straight up gone. I checked the other day. I actually put a piece of the Fish Hex Millie in the spot there to see if it kind of turns around, because I went ahead and I fragged that Millie out. And so got a lot of frags. I don't know if they're going to survive. We'll see. Threw out a ton of that coral, though. That Millie, that sucks so bad when I was cutting that up. But it's for the best of the colony, I suppose. But yeah, that purple Monty's gone. The 2 spots. So I took it out in one spot already on the middle left rock structure. That thing's gone. And then, of course, that middle right rock structure had a big chunk of it that we took out with the Dremel attachment. And yeah, it's nothing. So I'm happy about that. What do you think of the MP40 Quiet Drive? I've had them. I actually have 2 in a box. What does that tell you? No, listen, I kind of steer away from MP series pumps right now just because of the horror stories of the internals on the wet side fucking rusting out. I'm going to move around here. You guys are going to hear me squeaking. So I have one MP10 in my frag tank, which will be replaced with the Nero 5. I'm just telling you, I am terrified that thing's going to rust out in between an ICP test, because you guys know I do it like every 3 to 5 months or so, and I would hate for it to rust out in between an ICP test and end up flatlining my tank because of it. So it's just more of a fear thing. They do work. Are they quiet? I guess if you're in a silent room, no. Down here, you can't hear shit down here because it's so much going on. But other than that, they do work. But not for me, man. I'm not going to take the risk on it. Moving down a little bit more. Any tips for getting larger and brighter Zoa polyps? Really comes down to nutrients. I find that if you have low nutrients in a tank that has Zoas, they're going to be all sucked the fuck up. They're not going to look good. Getting good amount of flow, but not too much that's blasting them. Of course, you don't want to kill them on light. Zoas don't need a lot of light. You can keep them at sub 100 par and they'll do fine all day long. You start putting them up at like 300-400 par, they tend to kind of shrink a little bit. So best thing about Zoas is they'll tell you when they don't have enough light. My tank for JP, JP's tank client, he has Zoas that are just not getting enough light because of everything in his grandmother's growing above it, and they'll actually stretch out really far, up to like 3 or 4 inches. And these are Pally Zoas, by the way, and they'll try to get as much light as they can. So what's really good about Zoas is they'll tell you when they're not happy. If they're shrunk up, they're not getting fluffy, they don't have any kind of extension, it means they're either getting too much light, not enough nutrients, or too much flow. Vice versa, if they're kind of sticking out, reached for the light, then they're not getting enough light. And coloration is really determined by nutrients. So make sure you have enough, but of course not too much, or they're getting smothered in algae. Moving down. Suzanne bought a new 3-inch Mimic Tang Friday. He appears to to be changing colors overnight. He seems fine and eating, maybe stress from bringing him home. Do I need to worry? If he's not dead, I wouldn't really worry. There's not really much you can worry about when it comes to, well, you didn't even say if it's in quarantine. Did you bring it home and put it in the tank? Which I hope you didn't do. But based on the fact that you didn't say anything about quarantine, I'm assuming you did that. If there's other fish in there, they could be stressing him out. Of course, the transition from from shipping to a tank is always stressful for a fish. Yeah, so if he's not dead, I wouldn't worry about it. I really hope you put him in quarantine, because anything tang just spells. It should be just anything tang, ick. I'm just kidding. No, anything can have ick. I just find that, tangs are really popular in the hobby, and they seem to be the ones that get them the most, or easily. Moving down. Oh yeah, let's not do a drinking game on how many times I say moving down. That's just my word today. Or words. Okay, I almost said it right there. I caught myself. I was like, ugh. All right, anyways, do you frag Duncans or Akins? And if you do, how do you go about fragging them? Yes, I do. And I do that with a saw, a bandsaw. And if you don't have a bandsaw, you can use a Dremel with a diamond bit attachment, diamond blade bit attachment, if you want to do it that way. I would not do it that way because it's so stressful. And plus the Dremel's bouncing around, and you got to hold the freaking colony still. If you're going to cut up Akins specifically, you should probably use a saw. It's a lot easier, and that's a diamond coated bandsaw like I have here in the fish room. And Duncans are pretty cool. You can use whatever you want. You can use bone cutters, but if you are going to cut Duncans with the bone cutters, you got to do it really low, because it has a tendency, if you don't do it right, you can shatter and fracture the whole skeletal structure, which is a huge pain in the butt. So I would recommend either the Dremel for a Duncan or, again, the bandsaw. Okay. Next question. I can't keep phosphates in my tank at all, yet nitrates climb. If I don't dose PO4, is there anything I can do other than dosing PO4 to help balance things out? Tank's 5 months old, mixed reef. No. I mean, if you can't keep your nutrients stable in the tank, you need to be dosing them. And especially, I mean, you said your nitrates are fine. Climb if I don't dose PO4. Yeah, because there's a balancing act there. You have to keep a certain amount of nitrates and a certain amount of phosphates in a reef tank to keep it stable. You can't just have one or the other, or things are just not going to be stable. Just like calcium and alkalinity, you can't just have one, you can't have another. There is a balance that you need to have. So I would increase your dose of PO4, help bring that up, keep it steady. Moving down. Shit, don't drink to that. Any good easy aquascaping glue or alternatives? I have no luck mixing that cement. Some brands tend to break loose over time. I use super glue. You guys could see when I was aquascaping the 300, I did most of the aquascaping out of the tank. When I built like the major parts of the rock structures, I built outside of the tank I drilled them and used 1-inch acrylic dowels with super glue, gel super glue. And then when I put them in the main tank, I added pieces of rock here and there. I held them all together with gel super glue. Now I did try a putty when I kind of like on the left rock structure, the far left one, it was breaking for whatever reason. I don't remember what I did. Oh yeah, Reggie was in there moving shit around and broke the rock structure. So I ended up using some putty, which seems to have held up pretty well, but it pissed off my skimmer for several days, and it looks purple. It looks dumb. So if you use super glue, it looks weird in the beginning, but eventually just kind of becomes part of the reef. You don't really see it anymore. So that's what I would recommend. Oh, let's go down. Almost said it again. Not that far down. Jesus. What are we at here? We're at hour and 5 minutes already. That went by pretty quick. Hello to everybody coming in. Appreciate you guys saying hi when you come in. Apologize for not answering everybody. Okay, there we go. Took me a while to find a question. This stuff was scrolling like crazy. My nitrates are barely noticeable, under 5, and my phosphates are high. What is the best way to lower phosphates without lowering nitrates? Well, you really can't. I think your balance is off. What I would do is I would make sure you get your nutrient. Right now, your phosphates are what you said, under 5. So what are you looking at, like 3 to 4? You could always start using some GFO for your phosphates, but be careful, because there is a point where you will strip your tank really quickly with phosphates, and you can really throw off the balance. So I would use some GFO, a very small amount, like half the recommended amount, and then keep an eye on your phosphates because that stuff works pretty well. So yeah, you could use GFO. What's the other shit you can use? I don't know. Just use GFO. Moving down. Shit. Tim, Hex, you referred me to cut to order section if you want larger frags. I want larger than 1 to 2 inch Monty. If you can't answer on stream, I can email again. How do I get larger pieces? Okay. Well, Tim, you email me with what you want, how big you want, in order, and then I will give you a custom invoice for that. If you're looking for bigger frags, it's going to obviously cost you more than a standard pack would. So just email me, tell me the size, the type of coral you want, how big, and I will give you a custom invoice. I'll send it from my Shopify, and you can take care of it then. Understand, when I cut them, it's going to take 2 weeks for them to heal before I can ship them out. So just keep that in mind. All right. Pretty sure. Did I answer you? No. What I did is I linked you the U cut, because a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss the whole, you can have custom. You can basically have any frag from my tank if you custom order it through that U pick frag pack, and a lot of people miss that. That's why I linked it to you, because I figured maybe you missed it. Moving down. Shit. Every time I say it, I'm probably gonna say shit. So Dan, okay, you guys are answering questions. Awesome. I was planning on a new tank from Custom Aquariums. Just tell them Travis from Fish of Hex. Yes. Tell them that Travis from Fish of Hex sent you. I think you get $50 or $100 off. I don't remember. It's either 50 or 100. And then you can even tell them that you want the commission or whatever set to the donation. I mean, they're going to automatically do it, but you can always tell them that as well. And I will get with them soon. I do have a balance, and I am going to set something up. So we'll see. These tanks are those Custom Aquariums tanks. They're not the cheapest, but man, are they nice. Because I'm going with them for the new tank. So yeah, I mean, they're really, really nice. They're just, you average of everything, you pay for quality. So moving. Almost said it. My mom asked me to move out of her basement to get a real job, okay? I tried to explain to her that the main floor would not support the weight of my Reef tank. Any help explaining this to her? My mom asked me to move out of her basement and get a real job. Try to explain to her that the main floor would not support. Okay, so you're moving out to a new place and you got to bring your tank with you? Or you got to move that tank upstairs because you got to get a job and move out, okay? So are you moving out of the basement to go upstairs to get a real job? I'm confused by the question. I would say get a smaller tank, or move out and get a fucking real job and get a house and a place or apartment or something that supports. Yeah, you can get an apartment. I don't know what state you're from, but here in Pennsylvania, you can get first floor apartments that have like cement, concrete floors. That's how I got away with it for so long. Just get a first floor place. There's me moving my camera around. You guys can tell the background video doesn't have a ton of editing. I just simply set that shit up. Moving down. Shit. Okay. When are these frags going on the site? The ones you are B-rolling? I don't know. To be honest with you, I have about 600 frags that I've cut over the last couple weeks. So it's going to be a while because I got to go through them. I got to take pictures of each one of them. You're looking within the next month or so. I add coral every single day to the site. Usually every other day at max. It's just whatever's healed, I can get up on the rack and I can take pictures of. I know that doesn't really answer your question. It's going to be a little bit. All right, here's a follow-up. Follow-up to my brown algae. Thanks. I have a feeling my nutrients are coming from the Reefroids feeding. I will stop that and do aminos and vitamins count into nutrients? They do to a certain extent, depending on what brain you have. I would... yeah, because one of the things you want to do is stop aminos and stuff like that when you start getting dino when it's really bottoming out too. So overfeeding on Reefroids is definitely an issue that a lot of people are having. I think it's because everybody wants to feed their coral. You don't need to feed your coral, guys. You don't need to feed your coral. Just feed your damn fish. That's it. Make sure you have good nitrates and phosphate levels in your tank, and you're fine. Feed your fish will take care of the corals. So yeah, probably be good if you stop doing that. Thanks for the live stream. Smell you later. Hey, man. See you later. Enjoy whatever you're doing. I have a 100-gallon Rubbermaid tank, and I am planning on making it a frag tank with a couple fish. Do you have any idea of how I can filter filter a tank that big since it's not really like an aquarium. So I guess you're just going to put everything into the tank. What you can do is you can still use a skimmer, but you can elevate the skimmer up with egg crate. You can build like an egg crate shelf, and you can put a skimmer that sticks up on top of the Rubbermaid, and you can still use a skimmer. You can still attach, you can put a pump down there and use like GFO and carbon and stuff like that. You use biopellet reactor. I mean, you could use all the same equipment. You just have to kind of modify everything to make it work. Hex, recommendations for dealing with verminted snails. Don't get them. That's my recommendation. Quarantine your coral. You guys know that I got them in a 300 from that Lobo that went through quarantine, but wasn't long enough apparently. And as I've said this before, any LPS going in my display tank and my future display tank, the new build, will be in quarantine for many, many months, upwards of 5 to 6 months of quarantine to catch these fermented snails, because you might take them off the base of, because they usually come in on LPS. That's number one thing. They don't come in on SPS unless they come in on the frag plug. They're going to grow at the base of hammers, torches, and Lobos and Phobias and shit like that. So best thing to do is manually remove them and then put the coral in quarantine for several months, waiting for them to come up. I mean, several months. And a lot of people don't want to do that because you could take them off, put them in your tank, and then you might miss the microscopic egg version of that sumbitch spreading. And then boom, you have them in your tank. If you have one, you're done. That's it. If you have one, you have more than that. Trust me. So fermented snails are, well, in this tank, they're not, they don't bother me. So I'm lucky. I have SPS. They don't bother me. They don't bother any coral. They don't go out on coral. There's no issues. But they are an eyesore to a certain extent. And yeah, best way not to deal with them is to never get them. And if you do have them, bumblebee snails have been quote unquote known to eat them. I don't know how fast they are at doing that. I've tried bumblebee snails in the past, never got any success with them. No fish that I know of will eat them. You could try super gluing them. That shit, you can try. That shit don't work. Try using super glue underneath the tank. That's always fun. Yeah. What glue am I using? I'm using super thick BRS gel super glue. Are you buying or making your own phytoplankton? And if making, can you do a in-depth video on culturing phytoplankton? I am making my own phytoplankton, and no, I am not going to make a video on that. Sorry. There are secrets that are not to be shared because I've already, you don't give all your information out when you're trying to run a business, if that makes sense. So no, I will not be making a video on how I culture phytoplankton, but I will say is there's plenty of information out there that you can look up. You're just not going to see my method that was pretty damn successful, if I do say so myself. So sorry about that, man. Yay, death to the purple Monty. Yeah. Hopefully the fish effects millies do recover. Yeah, I really hope they do. I got about, Jesus fuck, I don't know, 60 frags of fish effects millie, and all of them look pissed off right now. Do you have any experience with aquaforest? No. Never even heard of that. What the hell is it? Feel free to send me a link, or you can email me a link to that product. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I have no idea. Moving down. Again. Okay, Tim. Hex, I got a 50-gallon cube mixed with frags. I have 4 acropora near the top. Been about 4 months, and growth is very slow. Cube has Radiant XR15. They have based but barely sprouting new coral growth. Any tips? Well, there's a lot that goes into growing acropora. I could talk about it all day. So you got to see what your par is. I know you have an XR15, but what's the par where they're at? Are you at 100 par? You at 200 par? The thing with acropora is if you're not in a good par range, they're just not going to grow the way you want. 250, 350, 450 is pretty good for pretty much any acropora. And then they'll even take higher, like 600, 700, 800 par, depending on. Of course, you don't want to drop them in that, like you'll jack them up real quick. But yeah, you probably just don't have enough light. I mean, I know that you have one XR15, but what setting is it at? What's your AB plus? What are you using? What's the intensity? What's the par? I need to know that information to help you out. Other than that, make sure your alkalinity is stable. That's a big factor when it comes to growing acros. If you're bouncing around an alk, you're going to stress them out. They're not going to grow. Make sure you have enough flow, of course. Need a little bit more information on that, and I'll keep an eye out for you. Just do like follow-up and then say, give me the information I was looking for. I got to scroll all the way up. Holy shit. Travis, is that BRS glue you're using? Yes, it is. The thick stuff. Travis, what is the pink acro on the right, and how much for a millipora? How much for the milli, for the fish of hex milli? It's not for sale right now. It's got to heal. It's got to heal. It's got to encrust, and it's got to get happy, and it's got to get its coloration back, which I foresee taking several months. It's been unhappy for a long time, getting its ass kicked by multiple corals, and it's going to take a little while to recover. It might not, but my feeling is, based on how it's recovered in the past, it's going to take a while. And when it does go up, since it's the only fish of hex milli I have left, I am going to put some in my grow out system. It's probably going to be $45, $50 a frag when it goes up. And I'll let you guys know. If you follow me on the community tab, or if you're a member of the channel, then you're going to get all that stuff information real quick, or sooner than if you were just kind of waiting for a video to come out. Moving down. Shit. Okay, I'm just going to give up, because I'm going to say it 1,000 freaking times, and there's nothing I can do about that. Okay, my elk finally got below 10. It tested at 9.5 today, and my calcium at 550. How do I know when to start to dose, and how much? Okay, so your levels are already elevated, so you shouldn't have to dose anytime soon. I've answered this a few times. I'm going to have to do another video on this, I think. Okay. I'll just give you the quick answer, because it's a little bit more in depth. What you want to do is you want to do a water change, and then after you do your water change, test your alkalinity. And then what you want to do is test your alkalinity throughout the week, or maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, depending on what system you have. If you have more LPS and SPS, you want to test a little bit sooner, and you want to look for those fluctuations. So say you're at 9.5 today, and if you did your water change yesterday, you're at 9.5. You're going to want to test in like a week or so, and say you're at, in 2 weeks, say you went down to 8. Then, of course, you are dropping a little bit over those 2 weeks. At that point, I would not start dosing anything. I would maybe change your water change, or do your water changes every week to help balance that out. And the key is that you want to stop those fluctuations. So if, say, you tested 9.5 today, and then you test 3 days from now and you're at 8, then that means that you're using up quite a bit, and you need to supplement that with 2-part calc or calcium reactor. So hopefully that gives you a good idea. But if you are testing 9.5 today, and you're testing 2 weeks from now, and it's still 9.5, and you haven't done anything to the tank, then yeah, you do not need to dose anything. And that's one of the things that people do wrong, is they start dosing when they don't need to. Hey, I got corals in my tank. I need to start dosing calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium. And then they come to find out that they have fucking 12 alkalinity and 6 million ppm of calcium. And then they're in deep shit. So yeah, unless you're using it, you don't need to dose it. Moving down. I'm trying to stop myself from saying it. I don't know why. Bad habit. Okay, Glenn, thanks for the donation. I just saw that pop up. Moving down, let's all pinch in for okay. The chair fund. Hey, man, I'm actually sitting here in the chair, kind of rolling back and forth, because this tea I have apparently has caffeine in it, so I'm kind of getting hyped up right before bedtime, which is fucking awesome. Oh, yeah. I like this chair. It's a shitty one I got off eBay for like $60. It's a gaming chair. It's red. It's black. You probably saw it in the video. I actually really like the damn thing. Minus the squeaking. So when I always talk with my hands. So when I'm doing voiceovers, I have to consciously keep my hands flat on the desk. And you guys can probably picture me doing this. And so I don't move my hands, because if I move my hands, the rest of my body moves. And then I ended up you hear like squeaks throughout the video. I'm like, shit, I got to remake it. But anyway, I got to scroll all the way up. Fuck. I think I misclicked. Okay, here we go. Best brand of bone cutters, and what kind of sand for a 14-gallon? Have fine sand and small Jabo S550 making sandstorm. Possibly another brand Skimmer. Okay, so bone cutters, anything that is cheap but made out of stainless steel. That's the key right there. For anything that you're putting in your tank, it's either got to be ABS plastic, or for anything plastic, like frag racks and shit, or you have to use stainless steel for anything metal, because if you don't, then you're going to have issues. I got to check this real quick. Oh, let's see here. Oh, someone's sending me fucking memes. Oh, 1 second. Checking my phone. Okay, there we go. All right, moving down. So yeah, fuck. I said moving down when I wasn't even moving down. Whew. Anyways, okay. So when it comes to the sand, you said you had the fine sand. So I'm assuming you went to like Petco and got the really like I wouldn't say play sand, but I know what sand you're talking about. I know Carib Sea makes some pretty good versions of it. A good person to ask about sand would be Billy Pipes, because he's always changing his fucking sand out of his tank every freaking 2 weeks. So you might want to ask him. Anything with a bigger grain. That's about it. I mean, if you like pink sand, you can get pink Fiji sand. There's so many different brands out there. Just get something with a bigger grain. And then another brand of skimmer, 14 gallon. I use the back when I had a BioCube, like the first BioCube, they have like a coral. Is it Coral Life? I don't know. Or a skimmer. It's a BioCube version of a skimmer, and works pretty good. I do have one in this tank now. I don't know the brand of it, and I don't really have an opinion on it right now because it's not really hooked up. But there are nano skimmers out there. Don't get the one with like the air stone. It's kind of weird. Get one with a pump that actually mixes forces air in and mixes it. I'm not sure if the one with the BioCube was with the air stone or not. I'm not sure. It's been freaking forever since I've looked at it. But there's plenty out there. Sorry. I feel bad I can't give you guys certain information, but I'll be the first to tell you that I don't know shit about certain things. Tim Hex, I have seen some interesting results dosing Tropic Marine Reef active powder. Okay. Besides being like gentle carbon dosing, apparently it helps corals with use phosphates better. Per Reef Dude's video, I don't know anything about it. You guys, like, listen, I appreciate other people like making content and putting all these products out there, like with Vibrate and all this stuff you guys keep bringing up. I don't do that. My reef tank is very simple. It has a macroalgae, it has an overpowered skimmer, it has carbon. That's it. When it comes to any other nutrient control, doesn't happen. Matter of fact, I have to dose nutrients because it's so low. I don't know. I just like to keep it as natural as possible. So yeah, I kind of went off on that a little bit, so I do apologize. Okay, moving down. It seems like Tim. It seems like your question went in twice. It might have been maybe a mix-up, but I see it twice here. Here we go. How do you reef with no job? Oh, I don't know. Are you asking me? Are you asking me how I reef with no job? Motherfucker, if you knew how much money I made selling coral last year, you would shit yourself. Trust me. This is my job. You would shit yourself. Trust me. Moving down. You guys must be bitching at each other because I'm mixing it. I don't know if you guys are talking shit to each other or me. I do have a couple moderators, so I'm sure they're paying attention to it. Here we go. Thanks, Fish of Hex Aquatics, for the advice last week. I have some nice frags, a pink bird's nest. Cool. Well, is it the bird's nest that you bought for me? Is it the same one? I'm pretty sure it is. Next question. Thoughts on resealing a tank? I bought a used 210 to upgrade my 90, but excitement, I didn't look closely in the seal. Tank doesn't leak, but the silicone doesn't look that great. Man, if it's not leaking, see, shit, dude, you're in the water territory now of like 210 is no joke. That's a lot of water. I don't know where you're keeping your tank. I wish you would have noticed it, but obviously you can't, hindsight's 2020, I suppose. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of resealing. What you can do is you can, since it isn't leaking and the silicone doesn't look that great, you can just take a bead of the Reef Safe silicone. I think you can get that at BRS. There's another plug for you guys. You can get their silicone, get the clear, or if it has black, get the black, whatever. You can put a bead up through there, then take your finger and just go up and take care of it. Let it sit for a few days. But I mean, if it's not leaking, was it test filled when you picked? I'm assuming it had water in it. It was test filled, right? But yeah, I would just put another bead in there and take care of it. But I don't know. You just got to be careful next time you buy a tank. What makes Red Planet one of your favorites? I just love the color of it. I just really love the Red Planet. It seems like no matter what light, even if it's in high light, it's got a lot of red to it. If it's low light, you get a little bit more greenish. I just really like that coral, and I'm bummed that it's pretty much dead in the 300. And I have a frag of it in the grow out system, and I have a frag of it in the 40 gallon. But yeah, I just wish I made a better placement for that coral. I've said that a lot with that 300. I will say the new tank, when it's set up, the big display downstairs, so the 10 foot by 4 foot by 3 foot tall, that's going to be nothing but acros. And they're going to be placed in a way that the shelving acros are lower. We have stuff like the WWC is going to be in a different spot where it doesn't shade out everything underneath. Of course, there's always going to be shading. You're always going to have to deal with it. My aquascape is going to be a lot different than the one I have now to help spread out the coral a little bit more and allow me to get even more corals in the tank and not have so much I wouldn't say swim room, but issues with that. But yeah, so I wish I made better decisions for the Red Planet so I can enjoy it more now. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. Let me see if I can get over here and back this up. Yeah, it looks like I fast forward when we changed the video there. It looks like I fast forward a little too much because it was set for exactly 2 hours worth of recordings for the background here. And apparently I fast forwarded a half an hour more than I needed to. All right, moving down. This person said, Cody said, bumblebee snails wiped out fermented snails in my 120 after 5 months. Yeah, if you put enough of them in there, they might do the job. It is on my to-do list to see if they work well. I did add a handful way back. Even buying those snails, those bumblebees at wholesale is still not cheap. At least not to me anyways. So, yeah. A lot of people asking, yes, bumblebee snails are known to eat fermented snails. They are for sure. They scrolled all the way down there. Sure did. Next question. Travis, how much do I pay for shipping to the state of Kentucky? You can go to the website, go to the shipping tab, and it will tell you. I have it laid out there. It has the state by color, and then you look down underneath that, and it will tell you what the shipping is. I will say that I'm probably going to start putting a minimum order on certain sections or categories because I'm having an issue. And it's not none of your guys' fault. It's just kind of more on my side of things. I have a couple options on how I can fix this. The first one is I can add a minimum to orders that are going out west, because if somebody buys a frag for $20 and then the shipping is $45, you might be paying the $45, but I'm paying like $50, $55, $60 of shipping. So you're paying a good portion of it, but all the shipping that you guys see, I'm always paying more than what you're paying. So with that, if you buy something for $20 and you pay $45 in shipping and it cost me $60 in shipping plus the box plus the heater, the heat pack, yeah. So there's no money in that. So for out west orders, I'm probably either going to increase the prices on the website or I'm going to make a minimum of $50 to $100 to go out west, stuff like that, because it is such a huge loss. And I feel bad because I hate telling people when they buy something for $20 and they paid like $30 in shipping. I hate telling them, hey man, you gotta add something else to the order because I can't ship it out because I'm losing money, and I just feel bad about that. So I'm trying to figure out how I can avoid that altogether. I probably just will increase the prices of coral a little bit on the website to help because they already are ridiculously low. And even though I like keeping that, it's just there's got to be a point in time where you can't be taking hits. I already increased the shipping a little bit, and then I got so much shit on that. But yeah, if you guys like I said, if you're paying $45 for shipping and I'm paying $55, $60, what's the point? So anyway, I think this might be. What is the best lighting for royal? Is it royal blue or whites more? So corals do the best. Hopefully that's what you're asking, man. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, so blue spectrum is the best for corals. The zooxanthellae reacts better and can use that light spectrum for producing nutrients and producing energy for the coral. So the blue spectrum is the best. The white spectrum is pretty much for our pleasure. From what I'm told, if you go into the ocean and you dive down, you see only blue light, right? So the white gets all filtered out. So yeah. White light is more for us to enjoy the tank. Blue is really where it's at. Any tips for evening out cow and alk consumption? Make sure it's being added evenly. Your tank will grow the way it grows. When corals grow, they pull out 1 part cow, 1 part alk. That's just to kind of make it easy for you guys to understand. 1 part of each to grow to build their skeletal structures. I think the only exception is I believe clams can be a little bit different depending on the clam and how big it is. Don't quote me on that. I'm almost positive that they pull out a little bit more calcium. So again, I could be wrong. I don't really have any clams in the tank that were to be even big enough to give you a clear answer on that. But yeah, make sure you're adding it evenly, and you should be fine. Okay. My tank doesn't consume alk, cow, and mag evenly. I dose 40 alk, 20 cow, and no mag. Mag never changes. Currently 8.3, 420, 1320. How do you dose equal mLs of without cow mag going off the chart? So don't worry about the mag. If your mag, when it comes to magnesium, I used to have it on auto doser, and it did like, I don't know, 3 milliliters once every 2 weeks or some shit like that. It wasn't anything crazy. Magnesium is not going to get used up nearly as quickly as calcium alkalinity. It's just not going to happen. So you should not be dosing equal parts of mag compared to calcium alkalinity. You should not be doing that. You're going to run into some pretty big issues if you do. Now, when it comes to dosing calcium alkalinity, you dose equal parts because the tank, as I mentioned previously, uses equal parts when it grows. Now, if you're testing, you didn't really say what you're okay. Yeah, so 830, 8.3, 420. I mean, you're in a fine range. I don't understand what you mean. It's so you dose 40 alk, 20 cal, and no mag. Okay, so you're in a good range there. But even if you went up to 40 cal with your 40 alk, it's not really going to fluctuate that much. If it does, it's probably going to go up a little bit, but it's going to balance itself out. I still believe that you should dose equal parts. Now, some people are saying to use the Trident to dose 2-part. It just dose based on what you need. Not a big fan of that. Again, I'm stuck in my ways, you can say, of dosing equal parts because it works. It's always worked, and that's what a lot of people have used in the past and then been very successful with. And when you look at other methods like calcium reactors and kalkwasser, it's equal parts. You're adding equal parts. It's being used equally. And to be honest with you, I would dose equal parts, and I would just keep an eye on your alkalinity. Test your magnesium every once in a while to make sure it's stable, and if it gets low, dose a little bit of magnesium to bring it up. Go slowly over a few days to make sure you don't overdose mag, again, because it takes so long for it to come out. And yeah, hopefully that answers your question. This is actually pretty good one. Carlos says, do you turn off your skimmer when you add fuel and aquapower? Yes. When I dose those supplements, the skimmer's off for 3 hours. Even when I dose phytoplankton, I've been turning off my skimmer because it depends. Sometimes it doesn't have an issue. Sometimes it does. I just nix the whole problem, just turn off the skimmer for a few hours, and there isn't anything you have to worry about. Next question. Man, we only got 20 minutes left. Hi, Fish of Hex. I've started a new marine tank, and I have been cycling for it nearly a month and 2 weeks now. When would you do your first water change? Thanks. Okay, so you're going to just, I'm assuming you're testing ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates. So what you want to do is do your first water change when you have 0 ammonia and 0 nitrates, and you only have nitrates and phosphates showing up on your test kit. At that point, you can do your first water change depending on how those levels are. I usually do that just to kind of get the tank going and ready to go and all that good stuff. So just wait. If you just have nitrates, do a water change and you're good to go. If you're showing ammonia or nitrites, then it still needs to cycle, and there's no reason. You're just going to prolong the cycling if you're doing water changes. Just let it stay the way it is, and it will do its thing. Guys busting my balls on the moving down here. People got jokes, man. I'm telling you, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're saying that I'm creating monsters in my comment section. It's true, though. You guys can be little monsters. I don't give a shit. Okay, moving south. Oh, changed it up, fuckers. I'm almost out of tea, too. Thank God. I'm going to be up all night. I got shit to do anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, so it looks like your question came in twice for some reason. Let me go down. Nope. It went all the way back up. Okay. Yeah, what Scott said. 134 in the stream while we did, man. This is a while ago. Fucking people were checking out. Don't forget the thumbs up. Again, instant gratification is all that I need from you guys. I don't need your money. I don't need your dick-sucking comments. I just need thumbs ups, and that's it. That's all I ask for. Because if you give the video a thumbs up, and that's not only for this one, but for my other ones, YouTube's like, oh, man, people like this shit, so I'm going to promote him, even though he swears. And, yeah, you're helping me out, so do it. Even if you don't like the video, just give it a freaking thumbs up anyways. Okay, my wife, she pays for my hobby, and I don't work. Retired at 32 is okay. Well, that's pretty sweet. Shit. Okay, hey, I think that's his dude. I bought a Hannah checker recently. I plan on using it in my reef tank in the future. There we go, moving the damn camera again. And am I able to use it for all my tanks, or should I just buy the same tester and keep it separate? Okay, so you bought the Hannah checker recently. I plan on using it in my reef tank in the future. Am I able to use it for all of my tanks? Okay, so if your tanks are marine tanks, then yeah, you're fine. You bought the Hannah checker, I'm assuming, for a reef tank, or a marine saltwater tank, then yeah, you should be able to use it in any tank you want, as long as it's not freshwater. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's what you mean. His question came in 3 times. You might have did that shit on purpose, man. So I didn't miss it. I appreciate it though. Okay. Hi, I'm from Wales in the UK. Have you had marine velvet in your tanks, please? No, I have not. Haven't had that in my tank. Are you looking, Kevin? Are you looking for like some advice when it comes to this? So, quick rundown: pull all your fish out of the tank and go fallow for 10 weeks. If you can go longer, do it. Velvet's one of those things that could even take longer than the standard ick process to get out of your tank. But it can go away with going fishless. But I will just say this, there has been times that people have gone 10 weeks, upwards of 12 to 15 weeks. There goes my chair again. And they still had marine velvet. And if that's the case, then you wasted a lot of time doing that, and you just start over with the tank. You just get rid of everything, sterilize the tank, and start over. That's the best advice I can give you for that. And no, I haven't had it in my tank, thank God. But the best way to get rid of it, Kevin, is to quarantine your damn fish. Ooh, yeah. Quarantine your fish. You won't have these fucking problems. I want to make money growing coral. Dream job. I'm probably was gonna say this for my rambling video, but yes, growing coral and selling it and doing this whole thing is awesome. Okay, I will admit it's a really good thing to do. Keeps you extremely busy, but because I have YouTube alongside of it, and one thing you guys realize is a lot of people can grow coral, but selling it could be the issue. You need to find a way to get out there and to promote your stuff. YouTube goes hand in hand with my job, with my coral selling job, whatever you want to call it. It's hand in hand. It can't do one without the other. Basically, if I wasn't selling coral and I didn't have anything going on, I probably wouldn't know what I'd make for content for you guys. Just playing. Yeah, so growing coral is great. It is, it's fun, but it's exhausting. My day starts between 7 and 8 a.m. every morning because the kids usually up fucking around by then. But it doesn't end until well after midnight every single day. It could be I don't sleep very much in general, but it's very, very time consuming. And when you create content, it makes it even more time. So for me, an average video, you guys can do a video for you every day. So the average time is usually between an hour to 4 hours to create content. If it's just one, I'm around here in the fish room talking and just, talking shit, and it usually takes about an hour to make that video. And then if I'm doing voiceovers and stuff like that, those can take several hours or even multiple days worth of time. Like the calcium reactor video I've been working on for the last few days. I started it, did a little bit more, and it'll be out next week. But so growing coral is great, but you need to be able to sell it. You need to be able to get out there and promote your stuff, which is a huge problem for a lot of people because it is a flooded market. For me, I have the ability to share it on YouTube, and I have subscribers that buy coral from me consistently. And I'm able to prove that I can grow coral and that it's healthy and that, you know what you're getting, essentially. That's a big thing for coral sales, probably why I've been pretty successful with it. Now, if you're willing to, I told somebody this the other day, is you don't really realize how much you work until you work for yourself or you start going off and doing things on your own. You think you work hard for somebody else. You have no idea what it takes to keep something like this afloat. Plus the overhead for a coral business and selling coral is extremely high. The profit margin can be very low, depending on what you're selling and how much you're selling it for and your process of getting that item. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But if you're up for it, give it a shot. But don't be surprised when you hit a few roadblocks and you got to adjust fire and make some changes. So enough of that. Moving south. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We do a few more questions and I'll probably ramble a little bit. I'm going to head the fuck out because I got shit I got to do. Are you still running a UV? Yes, I am. I'm running one Jabo UV sterilizer, 55 watts. I have an extra one that I might use someday. Maybe. I have an extra one and like 2 extra bulbs. What's the trick to getting the short, stocky Stylophora? Is it higher par? Short, stocky Stylophora. Trimming it definitely helps. Trimming it down allows it to kind of grow outwards more. That's definitely something that I've figured out cutting the Stylophoras. Par wise, just keep it in that 350 range. You should be fine. If it has too much light, I mean, if it has a good enough light, a good amount of light, it essentially doesn't have to reach. Corals will reach towards the light. That's why I have the XR15s. And one of the reasons why I got the XRs and not the 30s is I can move the lights to help adjust how the coral grows. That's something that I've been doing to help keep some of these freaking staghorns from wiping out everything underneath them. Just move the light a little bit. They'll go towards the light. Okay. Josh, my elk was stable at 8.9, and after I added Chaeto, it jumped to 10.1. I'm not sure what is going on. Any thoughts? I think that's just a 8.9, so you're at 9, essentially, and you jumped up 1 full point, almost a little over that, actually. What else did you do during that process? Did you do a water change? Are you dosing? Maybe you're using a HANA checker and you changed out the reagent and it's 1 fucking point off like every time I do it. I've never heard of Chaeto causing your alkalinity to go higher. Something I've never heard of before. I think there might be a flaw in your testing method. There might be something else going on. There wouldn't be any reason that I know of off the top of my head that would cause your alkalinity to go up after adding Chaeto. I don't know. Sorry, man. I'm just going to do that sound instead of saying going down. Going south. That's what she said. Oh, here we go. We got fucking 15 minutes left. Don't go off the rails, Travis. You got 15 minutes left. Don't fuck this shit up. Yeah, sometimes I talk to myself so I don't say things or do things stupid. Anyway, so yeah, that intro music, I like having intro music, but it automatically demonetizes the video, which I don't give a shit. It's one video, probably get like 3,000 views, 4,000 views max. It's not like a huge revenue loss. And I like having the intro and I like listening to music while I warm up, kind of get in the mood. I'm in the background shadow boxing, getting ready for the live stream, doing my normal shit, push-ups, all 3 of them, just getting ready. So that's why I have the music running, and I don't know why I even brought that up. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Any more questions? Have you tried graphing different acros together? No. The acros are too fucking expensive to be trying to graph them together. Maybe someday. Travis, tank is running 2 nitrates, 3 phosphates, 3 phosphates. Would you raise phosphates in the tank 3 months old? So are you like 0.03? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you at like 3? I can't give you an answer, man. I need more info on that. I guess, okay. So if you're at 2 nitrates and you're at 0.03 phosphates, then yeah, your nitrates and your phosphates should go up. But what is it? Tank is 3 months old. It's probably already cycled. Good to go. Yeah, you can start dosing nitrates and phosphates if that's the case. Matt, thanks for the donation. No problem for answering your questions. That came up. I mean, we're getting pretty close to the end. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's at 3, though, that might be a little issue. I'm assuming it's at 0.03. Then, yeah, you might want to bring it up a little bit. And you can buy those at fishofhex.com. Nitrates and phosphates shipped daily to your address. I only dose your PO4 and NO3 and haven't done any water changes. Shit. Is that part of a question, John? Oh, man, I got to scroll. I ain't got to find it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is the one with the elk. All right, it's at 8.9. And I went up to 10. Okay, so Yeah, I would say, okay, so if you're adding nutrients, if you were low nutrients and you're adding nutrients, that's going to increase the growth. Now, still don't know. I still don't have an answer for you, man. If you're dosing nitrates and phosphates, what I found is if I have low nutrients and I dose nitrates and phosphates and get them to the correct range, I will end up lowering my alkalinity and calcium because the tank starts growing more because it's in a good range and it's growing. So if you're dosing, I'm assuming you're getting the nutrients back up and the growth should pick up. So you shouldn't get an elevated level. I'm sure there's some scientists out there that probably can give you a better answer, but I cannot because I'm a dumbass, apparently. So yeah. So I completely lost where I'm going. I went up to click on his and I lost all of it. So we have what, 10 minutes left? Anybody want to anything random we can ask? You guys want to hear a story? There we go. How can I get better coral colors out of my Walt Disney Acro? Lighting. I mean, that's one thing. Nutrients are also a very big factor. So make sure you have a good light, good spectrum. Make sure you're not blasting it with too much light. That's one of those corals that is pretty finicky. If you start getting up there in higher power ranges, it's going to pale out. Also, with nutrients not being high enough, you're going to have it pale out. So, shadow boxing. Yeah, I'm in the background shadow boxing. I'm getting ready. Okay, my tank is softy dominated, and I find I need to dose just to feed the Coraline. You dose calcium alkalinity. Yeah, you might. Yeah, if you have a ton of Coraline in your tank, then yeah, that will definitely use up. Fucking chair squeaking like a sumbitch. That's really loud. Jeez, sorry. Yeah, if you have a lot of Coraline, you could possibly need to dose just based on having Coraline algae. I've heard of that before, even with a softy tank. Again, the best way to figure that out is just to simply test between water changes and see what kind of fluctuations you're getting. Get a baseline and then see what kind of fluctuations, and then determine if you need to. Yeah, you did. Okay, it is 0.03. 0.3. Are you doing ppm or parts per billion? Okay, I think that's it for questions. You guys want to fuck around for like 10 minutes? I don't really have anything to say other than the fact that I got a headache now. Apparently the caffeine's starting to fucking wear off. But yeah, so videos this week. I want to show you guys the quarantine tank, but I got to get the light in. I am doing an HD Prime, just doing the regular HD Prime. I'm pretty sure that's what Ecotech sent on the invoice. I have the core quarantine tank. I went ahead and I broke up that Marine Saver Reef rock or whatever the hell it is, Marine Reef Saver rock. I broke it up into chunks and I put it in the back section. Some of you guys are asking like, hey man, how are you going to quarantine corals if you got all this rock in the display tank? So what I did is I broke it up like I did in my previous system and I just put it in the back chamber. You don't need a lot of rock because there's probably only going to be one fish in there, maybe a wrasse, a 6-line wrasse or something like that in this tank. And maybe I'll throw a 6-inch hippo tang in there, the BioCube. Fucking Tang Police City. But no, I'm probably just going to throw one fish in there and then all the rocks in the back chamber. There is mechanical filtration before it gets to the rocks, so I don't have to worry about it clogging up with detritus and making it difficult to clean. Worst case scenario, I have to go in there every 6 months, pull out the rock and siphon out whatever detritus happens to get past the sponge filter. Yeah, I'm going to be setting up that quarantine tank soon. I am going to put an order in for about 40 Acropora. Get them in. They're relatively cheap, and then they of course got to go through quarantine. So I'll show you guys that whole process when it's all set up. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys the BioCube. It's been up and running for a little while, and it's empty as shit. It's actually where Spike used to be. I had to move Spike because he was getting too cold this time of year by the window. Let's see. Did any more questions come in while I'm rambling here? Okay. What are your thoughts on acid washing old Pucani and Fiji rock from my old tank? You can. You just gotta give it time to cure, and you gotta give it time to make sure none of that shit's getting in your tank. So yeah, you can do it. I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer just to get new rock because I've used rock that was said to be clean and was from another system, and I just ran into nutrient issues because rock's a sponge. Any mistake or anything you've made wrong in that tank, high nutrients at one point, it's in that rock, and unless you're going to do a lot of curing and taking care of it, it might be too much work for what you're looking to get out of it. What is my dream car? I used to have, let's see, when I got back from Afghanistan, I bought an Evo. I got rid of that because I ran into some medical stuff and I just didn't go outside a lot. So I sold that car with almost no mileage on it. And then I got that Volvo, that all-wheel drive, the limited edition S60R. I really love that turbocharged. I actually have one video with me fucking set up a quarantine tank blowing off the blow-off valve of that freaking car. But I'm actually going to be picking up a 2010. I think I'm going to do a 2010 370Z. I'm actually in the process of doing that now. Working on it. Basically for the gas mileage. Like I said, the truck, we did all those mods to the truck. It gets fucking, on a good day, it gets 11 miles per gallon. And I just don't feel like paying for that all the time. And the truck's pretty cool, but it would be nice to have a car where I can have a little bit of fun. I still have the motorcycle, but it's wintertime. Definitely don't feel like freezing my balls off. Fun fact though, back in the day, back when I was way back, Jesus fuck, how many years ago was this? But anyway, I had to make a choice. So I just wasn't making a lot of money. So I had a pretty shitty job, and I had to make a choice: pay car insurance, pay for the gas in the car, or buy a motorcycle and pay for that gas, but drive a motorcycle all year long in the state of Pennsylvania. So I did that. So I remember the first time I crashed a motorcycle was I had to go to work at like 3 a.m, and then it started snowing, and I low sided on an off ramp, it was an off ramp, and that was the first time I crashed a motorcycle, and I got a few more times after that. But yeah, fuck, man, I remember having to drive a motorcycle all year long in the state of Pennsylvania. So now when it gets cold, it gets like below 50. I won't even touch my motorcycle because I had to drive it in 20-degree weather for years. That's what happens, man. This happens. Suffered for so many years, freaking with bills and all sorts of shit. Things are finally not as bad as they were. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. Here we go. This will be our last real question. What type of live food would you recommend for a mixed Reef 24-gallon tank for clowns? I don't think you need to do live food. I'd say get some Meister shrimp. Just get a pack of regular food from like Petco and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be anything live. I mean, if you want to spend the money, you can. You do brine shrimp and shit like that. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to move. Been building these keychains. I've been making these keychains and send them out. If you spend $150 or more on the website before shipping, I'll send you a free keychain that I make on my 3D printer. It's pretty gay, but it's cool at the same time. So, kudos to those of you who got one so far. But yeah, so I got 6 minutes left. I don't really think there's anything else in here. Have you used the current orbit marine LED light system loop? No, I've not. I've not used that. I think that's it. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions that I missed. Nope. Now I don't want to end this too early, but if you guys want to leave, you can. I'm probably just going to chit chat for probably 6 minutes or so. What did I talk about so far? So we talked about the BioCube. Oh shit. Oh yeah, that giant green bird's nest. So I just ordered in a bunch of more acro plugs. They should be here tomorrow or Tuesday, and going to frag out the entire colony of green bird's nest that just popped up on the video there. I don't know how many frags that I'm going to get, but needless to say, green bird's nest will probably be like buy one get one free soon, just so I can clear out, or maybe I'll just drop the price a little bit more and try to blow it out that way. That's what she said. And yeah. I just got to cut that damn thing up. It takes up a ton of room. I got more acros that need to go in the grow out system. So I have one low boy almost completely full of grow out tiles. And then the other low boy is just going to be full of extra frags that I just removed from the 300. So I just wish I had more tanks, wish I had more room, but got to make do with what I got so far. Yeah, I might as well remind you guys, if you want to support the channel, you guys can go ahead and hit the join button. I have some tiers here that I changed up. So I actually removed the $35 a month Skype call, and as soon as I did, somebody asked about it. Because I had people doing it, and I just felt like it was easier just to do by appointment base. Only if you want to talk to me for an hour and you want to help with your system, you can contact me via email, and we can set up a Skype call. It's $34 or $35, $34.99, whatever, still $35 per hour, and there's appointments. Pretty free most days, depending on what's going on, and it's usually in the evening or really early in the morning, depending on what your time zone is. But yeah, so I do have the supporting member now. It's $1 a month, and you will get on the rolling credits. You guys have seen at the end of my videos now. We got the rolling credits. So anybody who does that, it's just to simply support the channel. Then we have the extra content. I do an extra video every week. So not only am I doing 5 videos a week, then 6 including this damn live stream, I also do an additional video for my members every single week, and that's $2 a month. I do pictures and all sorts of stuff with those guys. And then we have the exclusive Q&A. So it's kind of like a daily version of this. So I go ahead and it's $5 a month, and I post a picture every day. It says the date and it says Q&A. And all you have to do is it shows up on my community tab. You just have to go in the comment section and put your question in there, and I will answer it that day. And again, I do this every single day, at least Monday through Friday. Again, on the weekends, I kind of take a back seat. This job stuff, YouTube, everything kind of takes a back seat for at least Saturdays, because my work week starts today at 7 p.m. on Sundays is when my weekdays start. My work days or work week starts, better yet. Yeah, if you guys want to join, you can. You don't have to. And then, of course, no matter what tier you join, you will be part of these scrolling credits at the end of my videos, which is pretty sweet. I do have to figure out soon how to I'll probably have to do two columns of scrolling credits, because there's only 20 seconds that I can show the names, and I don't want them going through so damn fast that you can't see the names. So I will probably end up doing 2 columns of names at some point once we get a few more, and then that way I can slow it down and you guys can see the actual names coming through. So we'll just have to adjust fire on that. And yeah, hit the subscribe button, and don't worry, there's always going to be content coming out unless I'm dead. So if you can assume if there's no content for like a month, I'm probably dead. Just want to point that out there, because yeah, I try to get content out every single week. It's every single day, actually. And some of you guys are actually, I might as well address this now before I let you go. We got 2 minutes. Some of you guys are asking, why am I starting to upload content every single day? Well, now that the algorithm on YouTube is kind of iffy towards me, and the fact that I swear and kind of who I am as a person, I tend to just want to increase the amount of content that I have, because that means more likes, more subscribes, more engagement with the videos, in turn ranking me a little bit higher in the SEO and allowing me to be seen throughout the community. And to be honest, I like creating content every day. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I do enjoy making it every single day. Oh, gonna burp. And yeah, so that's why I've been creating it Monday through Friday. And of course, we have the live stream on Sundays. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm gonna let you go. I gotta go take a piss. Probably gonna grab some food. I did eat an entire ice cream cake. Not yesterday, Friday. An entire ice cream cake. I'm lactose intolerant, by the way. So yes, Saturday was fucking awesome for me, but it was worth it. It was so worth it. It's a birthday cake version. So worth it. But anyways, see you guys later. See you tomorrow with a video. All right, peace.